Hello! Today we are covering everything you need to do to prep your van for winter van life. Over the last 2.5 years, I've been living in a van with my two cats, Atlas and Otto, and we have been through 3 seasons of winter van life. Some good, some great, some really terrible times. So we're going to be talking about pipes, batteries, the heaters that I like, the heaters that I hate. We're going to be talking about the necessities that you need to have just in case of emergencies. We're going to be talking about some horror stories that happened with me. And then we are going to be talking about really everything you need to know to do winter van life. So let's do this. Okay, step 1 is heaters. I have a lot to say about heaters. I have had 3 heaters now, all of which I like, I don't like, I hate. So let's talk about them. If you're gonna do winter van life, you absolutely, in my humble opinion, in my experience, will want a heater. All of my heaters have been attached to my gasoline tank. So your gas tank heaters are an S-Bar, a Webasto, an Autoterm. I personally have tried the Webasto Airtop 2000 and the Autoterm. Unfortunately, I have not had such great experiences with them. I found that the Webasto Airtop 2000 was very finicky at altitude, even with the altitude adjustment, since you do have to manually altitude adjust it. What I found is that when you're at elevation, you can only stay there around 2 days before you have to come back down to elevation to burn off all of that carbon. When you have a heater, you have to make sure that the first 20 minutes that you have it on, it is at full blast for at least 20 minutes so that it can burn off all of this carbon. You can have a ton of buildup in your heater in the chamber and it will make it malfunction. You'll have a lot of different faults. Now in the Webasto and the Autoterm, I've had that happen a lot, and I've also had really faulty products. Now again, this is just my experience. I've had a lot of friends who love these, so just make sure to read reviews on them. I personally do not suggest the Webasto Airtop 2000 or the Autoterm, and instead what I would get and what I want to do next, because right now I've got kind of a faulty heater, is I want to either try the S-Bar. That's a little bit on the pricier end. So the Webasto, the Autoterm, and the S-Bar are all pricey, very pricey, in like the 1200 range, plus you also have to have someone install them. Now the Chinese diesel heater is what everyone recommends who has ever had a Chinese diesel heater. Yes, they are finicky, but at the end of the day, they only are about $158. And if something happens, you can just get a new one and then install a new one. Now with the Chinese diesel, you do have to have an exterior tank that you fill with diesel. Now the third option for winter van life heaters is you also have a Propex. If you're comfortable having propane in your vehicle, which I am not, I do not have propane in this vehicle, just for safety reasons and especially because I have cats. So rule number 1, you definitely want to have a heater when you're doing van life. This is where my exhaust pipe lives, and you absolutely want to make sure you want to tap it and you get whatever ice or buildup or salt or whatever road you're on. You want to make sure to get all of that gunk out of it, or that exhaust will come back into your van. All right, so next up is your emergency kit. Now, emergencies, it's not an if it's going to happen, it's a when it's going to happen. So you want to be prepared. So step 1, you're going to want a sleeping bag. A sleeping bag or multiple sleeping bags is really important. This one is rated for 15 degrees. It's from Mountain Hardware. I love it. I backpack with it all the time. I'll probably have 3 sleeping bags in the van with me at all times for winter. I will put them on the sliding door. I will put them on the back doors, and it really helps keep all of the heat in and all of the cold out. Number 2 is an electric blanket, a luxury blanket. This is probably my favorite thing to have in winter van life. This electric blanket has saved me so many times in cold nights where my heater is just a little iffy. Now with the electric blanket, it does pull a little bit more power. So in order to run this or to run any of your other devices, I recommend getting a power bank. So this is the Renogy Phoenix 200. This is a perfect power bank. I bring it to all the cafes. I bring it as emergencies. Renogy also has a portable power bank 1000, which is significantly bigger than this. I love that one as well. That one will help with the electric blanket or anything that needs to be charged when you have a cloudy day and you're not really driving that far, or you're not getting a lot of solar and you're running low on juice. Love my Renogy portable power bank. So highly recommend those 3 things. Now, the other thing that you need, so in addition to your electric blanket, your portable power bank, and your sleeping bag, you want to get a Mr. Buddy. Now a Mr. Buddy is a propane gas heater. It will run you around $99. You can find it at Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, or just a traditional hardware shop. And this is your saving grace in case anything were to happen. If you're using a Mr. Buddy, you must have windows open. You must have airflow because it is propane, it is gas. Mr. Buddy, you've got the sleeping bag, you've got the portable power bank, and you've got the electric blanket, and that is your emergency kit. I have had to use my emergency kit more than once, honestly, more than 10 times. Anyway, that is your emergency kit. Make sure to always have one on board because it's not an if, it is a when. Okay, so next up are your tires. You absolutely want to upgrade to all-terrain tires in addition to also getting chains. Now, my vehicle is all-wheel drive, so I don't need to use the chains quite as often as someone with a two-wheel drive, but make sure to respect all the laws in the areas that you're at. But these are my Goodyear DuraTrack tires. I've been using them the last 3 years. I keep them on year-round. Love them. Couldn't recommend them enough for winter van life. So next up is your plumbing area. So this is my plumbing area. If ever you are away from your van for more than 24 hours, you want to make sure that you have your pipes completely cleared if you are not operating your heater. So something that's really important is, going into my handy dandy 20-gallon water tank area, is you want to have a switch that depletes all of your water. So you want to put it at the very bottom of your water tank. That way when you open it, all of your water will be released, and then you can also blow air and empty your sink. I've had my pipes frozen twice on me. Another big tip is making sure that if your heater is in the main area and all of your pipes are in this area, you want to have a clear passageway to allow the heat to get into your garage. Sometimes if it's really cold, I'll take my electric blanket and I'll just kind of put it in this area. You really want to make sure, even if you're leaving for a small amount of time, that you empty your water tank, or else terrible things will happen to your van. So next up, we want to talk about your electrical system and your batteries and what you're using. And a big thank you to Renogy, which is today's sponsor. So when we talk about winter van life, you always want to get a self-heated lithium battery, because if your internal battery drops below 41 degrees, this will kick on and it will self-heat itself, because nothing is worse than being in negative 21 degree weather, you're snowboarding, and all of a sudden everything dies because your batteries are frozen. We don't want that. We absolutely do not want that, which is why I love the 100 amp hour smart lithium iron phosphate battery from Renogy. It has a 10-year lifetime, so a very good investment. And there's also an activation switch too, which means that you can turn off the different batteries while you're installing and while you're using, just for your safety. You want a very powerful, very strong, very reliable battery. So that's why I love this one from Renogy. So for my electrical system, I have 500 amp hours, but in my old van, I had 300 amp hours. So I think that you can do anything from 200 to 500 amp hours and be amazing. Definitely make sure to get the self-heated lithium battery just to protect yourself in all of the different winter van life scenarios. And then here's just some very random things if you have a pet, or just, some different things about the heater. If you have a pet and you are doing winter van life, you want to make sure that you do not have your heater on while you leave the vehicle. Now, that's just my opinion of it. I would hate for something to happen with the heater while I was gone. So I make sure it gets nice and toasty, and then I put all my blankets out, my sleeping bags out. I've had some heater issues before, so I just don't really trust it. And it's absolutely fine, in my opinion, depending on the temperature outside, to turn your heater off while you're snowboarding for a couple of hours. Now, another thing is I also have a partition door. I will close that ever so slightly and then park facing the sun, and I won't put any window covers on. So that way Atlas can sun himself. He loves nothing more than to position himself in the window in the winter time and just like bask in the sun. So if you have a cat, it's really cute to give them a little cat igloo. My boys love ours. And then finally, a very random thing, I probably should have talked about it when I was talking about heaters, is you don't want to put your heater across from your door or your fridge. I've had an issue where my heater was directly across from my fridge and my fridge wasn't cooling down correctly. So make sure your heater is going towards your van and making sure that it's not going away from anything that could lose its insulation or lose its heat, because you want to make sure to maintain all of the heat inside of your vehicle. And then this goes without saying, make sure that you're insulating your van correctly. Make sure that you check the weather before you go anywhere. You don't want to put yourself into an unknown situation where something bad could happen. So once again, my name is Quinn. I've been living in a van with my cat Atlas for the last 2.5 years. Subscribe if you are not subscribed already, and let me know if you have any questions. And thanks again, Renogy, for being our sponsor today. And thanks for watching.